Imagine if your spouse or partner said this to you. Things have been a little rocky between us lately, so from now on, every time you do something I don't like, I'm going to document it, just in case we split up, to make sure that I have the legal advantage. That'd pretty much be game over for any relationship, right? And yet that's exactly what a lot of organizations do with their employees, somehow expecting a positive outcome. The whole idea of writing up employees came from lawyers. Yes, it's required in unionized environments, but many HR folks apply that same approach to non-unionized employees when they don't have to, because there's a better way. I recently wrote an article explaining how organizations can finally rid themselves of the dreaded performance review. The link is in the description below if you want to check it out. In it, I explain why regular one-on-ones might be the most important leadership habit you can build. Regularly scheduled one-on-ones create a safe place for important or sensitive conversations that probably wouldn't happen otherwise. They give managers and their team members a chance to address issues quickly before making assumptions or allowing frustration to build. And most importantly, it gives you both a chance to course correct so you don't keep irritating each other. For instance, a manager might say, "This is the second time in the past few weeks that I've heard you be short with Mandy. What's up with that?" Or if someone misses a deadline, "When we met last week, you didn't give me any indication that you might miss this deadline. What happened?" When you address issues quickly, you can investigate with an open mind instead of jumping to conclusions. And it goes both ways. An employee might say to the manager, "Yesterday, when you gave me that assignment, you went into so much detail that it kind of felt condescending, almost like micromanaging. Are you concerned about my ability to handle it?" Here's the thing. You get the behavior you tolerate. If you don't address something the first or second time it happens, it gets way harder to address later. Because by not addressing it, you've essentially told the other person that you don't have a problem with it. So why should you have a problem with it the third or fourth time it happens? Now, to be clear, there's a difference between unacceptable behavior and poor performance, and they need to be handled differently. Things like being disrespectful or deceitful are examples of unacceptable behavior. These should be addressed firmly and quickly. Poor performance, on the other hand, might stem from a lack of training, unclear expectations, forgetfulness, or even personal issues. Those situations often require patience and sometimes some creative problem solving. In this video, we're going to focus on how to handle unacceptable behavior. If you want tips on how to address performance problems, you'll definitely want to check out my TEDx talk, How to Claim Your Leadership Power, also in the description below. Let's go back to the earlier example of someone being rude to Mandy. That's unacceptable behavior. If it happens again, don't wait for your next one-on-one. Pull the person aside or give them a call. Never address sensitive issues over email or text. That's what cowards do, and it never ends well. Leadership requires the courage to address issues directly. Now, here's what you do differently the second time you address it. Wrap up the conversation with something like this. "It looks like I wasn't clear enough last time, so I'm going to send you an email to confirm what we talked about today. I really hope we don't need to talk about this again, but if we do, we'll need to talk about consequences. So please, let's just not go there." Phrasing it this way sends two important messages. Number one, you're not the bad guy. They're the one forcing the discussion. And two, you're being fair. You're giving them fair warning that you will escalate your response if the behavior continues. And by sending a follow-up email, there's no room for debate about what was actually discussed. Of course, if the behavior was egregious, such as lying, you'll need to talk about consequences right then and there. Don't wait for it to happen again. So here's a bit of a side note. Some managers feel like they can't escalate an issue if it doesn't happen exactly the same way. For instance, if the person who was short with Mandy changes tactics and now seems to be being deliberately unhelpful to Mandy, it's the same pattern. So when you address it, don't get bogged down in the details. Address the overall pattern of behavior. If the unacceptable behavior happens a third time, that's when you must talk about consequences or follow through on the ones you've already discussed. This is when you'll want to talk to HR to think through what that might look like. Now, I want to shift gears and speak directly to HR professionals. Some HR folks advise managers to document everything to reduce severance liability. If that's you, I'll let you in on a little secret. The legal standard for documenting behavior in a way that actually reduces severance liability is so high and so impractical that it's nearly impossible to meet. And if you somehow manage to meet it, it's actually worse, because by that point, you'll have treated the employee so inhumanely that they'll be highly motivated to fight you for everything they can, not to mention the time and emotional toll it will take on the manager to jump through all those hoops. Just like in the spouse example at the beginning of this video, once you start issuing formal write-ups, everybody knows it's simply a CYA exercise, and it turns into a game of catch me if you can. The time it takes and the damage it does to trust and morale will cost your organization far more in the long run. Just pay the severance and let everybody move on. Your employer and your workplace will be much better served. If you want to create a workplace built on trust and teamwork and accountability, I'd love to help. Visit my website, michaeltimms.com, to get in touch.